Hi, it's my first day at Twitter.
Good for you.
I've always wanted to work here and I'm excited to meet Elon.
We never see Elon.
No? Well, how do we know what to do?
Just read his tweets, man.
Really? So he has like a group chat or does like Twitter spaces where he kind of brainstorms ideas?
No, it's literally the public account. Everybody can read it.
Oh. Well, when do we start?
I've already started. I'm looking at his Twitter replies right now on his memes.
You're telling me every day we just check for feature requests through his replies on memes?
Welcome to Twitter.
Let's begin. I'll be diving into the top 5 things I would love to see fixed on Twitter or brought to Twitter. And we're going to keep it fun on this one because I enjoy Twitter as a platform and I don't want this to be a political video, so we're not talking about freedom of speech, censorship, or any of that crap. We're just diving into how I think the platform could become a way cooler place to use, both for creators and viewers alike. And the first one should be abundantly clear and very obvious, the edit button. So many other platforms let you edit content after posting it, and they do not experience that many problems that people think are going to be an issue if Twitter added one. The most common response that I always get every time is, well, what if someone tweets something and then it gets a bunch of retweets and a bunch of likes and then they change it to say something else? There are literally like 100 different ways to prevent that from being an issue. I'm not going to go through all 100 because we're going to keep this video a little short, but for one, you can always link to the original tweet. So just like on most platforms, when you edit a message, it can just have a little tag underneath it that says edited in parentheses. And typically if you tap that button, then you can see the original tweet. So done. You can't just completely change the nature of the tweet and then the original post is gone and lost forever. That's a very easy thing to add software-wise. Another option to apply limits would just be a time limit. So you send out a tweet and you only have 5 minutes to edit it, so it can't really get that much attention or that much popularity after making those original edits, which I think would address a lot of the typos and mistakes people make these days. They send the tweet, very quickly realize there's a mistake, and they would love to go back and re-edit it, but because it's Twitter and we can't have edit buttons, we gotta delete the whole thing and start from scratch. And even the deleted tweets show up for extended periods of time, which is kind of annoying. Okay, and lastly is you can imply a character limit on edits, so you can only switch like 5 characters or 4 characters maximum. That way you can't really change the entire nature of the tweet. You can only just replace a few letters or apostrophes here and there, and that would fix 98% of the complaints people have with no edit button. You could implement all of these features or just a couple. There's an easy way to add it without having to worry about the nature of tweets changing. And also keep in mind, the accounts that have millions of followers or that send out viral tweets typically don't pull this kind of stuff on other platforms anyway. So edit button should have been there years ago. I'm glad it's probably getting added, but of course that's going to make a huge impact on day-to-day tweeting, so it's at the top of my list. Next biggest concern I have is verification of humans and brands. Twitter Verified has become this very bizarre, egocentric elite club for so many Twitter accounts out there that are like, oh my god, this person's verified, and I want to just bring all of that crumbling down. It's a stupid bragging rights situation of social media because Twitter has made it so impossibly hard to get an account verified if you're not a journalist. If you've ever wrote a single article on a website, even if you have like 100 followers, they'll verify you, but it doesn't matter if you have millions of followers or channels with huge followings, they will not verify you because you're not a journalist. And even though it took them years to revamp the verification process, they still don't verify people. Even those who are using their profile picture as their face and their Twitter username, which is verifiable by government ID, even those people don't get verified. And I do not think it needs to be this elite club status of account. It should be a very common everyday thing. If you can verify that you are talking to the person who claims who they are, you can have some strict rules on this. Like maybe to be verified, you need a certain number of followers and you need to provide a government issued ID. Or if you're a brand account, all you need is an external source proving that that Twitter account is the official account of that brand. It could be a YouTube channel. You know, if your YouTube channel is verified or your website is official and your website or channel is linking a specific Twitter account, that's all it should really take. It's just proving that yes, this brand is who they say they are. That's all verification should should be. It should not be this like mysterious, ooh, you gotta know somebody inside at Twitter, really hard to figure out problem. And of course, along with the verification process, we should eliminate the bots. I'm tying that into the same subject. It should be a fairly simple algorithm to detect when one account is posting the same crypto scam like 800 times a minute. Yeah, that should probably flag something for Twitter and just say ban that account or delete it. And if there are Twitter accounts out there that are not people, they're just meant to be like website updates and they just kind of tweet things based on a bot's commands, but they're not spamming anybody's scams and that kind of thing, then just label it on that account. You know, this is a verified bot providing updates on a particular website or service. Just being more transparent about what these accounts are instead of everybody fend for themselves, no matter how much of a following or how many followers you have, which are dealing with impersonation bots all the time. This is absolutely worth Twitter's time because there are thousands of people getting scammed every day by interacting with duplicate accounts and bot accounts. So that's also very high on my list of top requested features. The next three are more beneficial. They're less fixing things, but I think more enhancing the user experience. So number 3 has been one that I'm not seeing that many people talk about, but referral codes. So just like we have Amazon affiliate links, I think just by recommending people buy certain products or services and you find out about them through Twitter, Twitter could drastically improve their revenue model a bit if they incentivized people to linking products through a Twitter referral code. So you know if a bunch of internet traffic is being sent through a particular website or a particular link on a tweet, so the Twitter user who posted that link could get a little bit of the cut of that revenue. Twitter could get a micro percentage of that cut, and because it's such an active platform with so many people, I think they could boost their revenues quite a bit and secure their future just by getting more into the shopping industry. Maybe even starting to let individuals sell their own merchandise or accessories or products directly on Twitter and start to bump up against the Amazon and eBay markets of the world. I know it's a stretch, but when Elon says that there's a lot of potential for Twitter that's not being utilized, this is absolutely one I think they could accommodate for. YouTube is starting to have more of those integrations with merchandise as well. I don't see why Twitter couldn't either. The fourth request I have is probably a big one for me because I'm a video creator, but Twitter absolutely needs to revamp their video compression algorithm. Right now, videos on Twitter are absolute garbage. I mean, they compress the crap out of it. The trim tool doesn't work very well, and there's no quality settings. You just kind of have to play the video and hope that the player updates to support a higher resolution. But there are so many links across Twitter posted by YouTubers and journalists alike, linking them to videos on other platforms. I don't see why we need to make this big jump, especially when it's like, okay, new video is up, you tap that link, it opens up the browser, then from within that in-app browser, you gotta tap another thing to take you to the actual app. Twitter could update their video player to be just as good, or at least close to as good as YouTube's, and actually start competing in the video production space. Certain accounts can already run ads on certain Twitter videos, but it's quite hard to get on that monetization list. It's not as clear as YouTube's path to success. Whereas if they started building like a designated desktop uploader and had less upload limits and had higher quality support as well as a clear partner program for monetization on the platform, I think Twitter could give YouTube a run for its money, and you would have a lot of content creators actually start uploading their videos directly to Twitter instead of YouTube. That way you don't have to leave the app and go somewhere else, but you could still have a quality experience, it could still be monetized, and a lot of time is spent on Twitter these days, so you can have the video in picture-in-picture still playing as you're scrolling through Twitter and reading the news. Whereas YouTube, if you don't have YouTube Premium or you're outside of the US, makes it very, very hard for you to like browse Twitter and watch YouTube at the same time. You kind of have to pick your poison, like which app do you want to stay stuck in. I always felt like YouTube doesn't have enough competition, and that's why they can get away with running the site so poorly, which is why I'm in favor of another giant platform trying to combat YouTube with video production, and I think Twitter has a decent shot at it. I know that the cloud server space is going to be expensive, so that may not be profitable in the short term. That's why I'm okay if they want to restrict it to a subscription service. Like maybe they have a subscription tier higher than Twitter Blue that you have to pay for in order to unlock the video monetization system, and maybe it's only available to those who have a certain number of followers, because Google can get away with hosting high resolution content for everybody unlimited for free. Twitter probably couldn't get away with it as easily, so I can understand why there'd be maybe certain limitations on it, but for big YouTubers and big channels, it would likely be worth it to them in the long run, and it would keep more people on Twitter's site. Number 5 is another big market I don't think Twitter is getting into enough, and I was happy to see Elon tweet about this as well. He wants to make DMs on Twitter end-to-end encrypted, so have a big privacy emphasis on messages, but I would actually take it a step further and say that we need more competition in the messaging space. Pretty much Meta owns all the most popular messaging apps in the world right now. In the United States, it's Facebook Messenger, and pretty much everywhere else, it's WhatsApp. And you know, Apple is probably the biggest competitor with iMessage, but that's restricted to just Apple's devices, and that's probably not changing anytime soon. So if Twitter entered this picture and said, hey, we can offer free end-to-end encrypted messaging for everybody, maybe it could be a whole separate app. And because Twitter is already supporting donations on accounts where you can send people money or crypto, you could even build in person-to-person payment methods on Twitter DMs and start competing with Venmo in the Cash app, which Jack Dorsey is already fairly invested in. So I think branching out is a good idea and start turning Twitter into a social media that can do more than just tweet out links and just send text to the internet. Try to let it become more of a communication method for more and more people. Turn it into a video platform for more and more people, and even a bit of a shopping platform. And that's how you can expand the revenue model to be a lot more profitable than what it currently is, while at the same time letting people have more control over their tweets by allowing an edit button, and also verifying people and getting rid of the annoyances of Twitter by eliminating the bots and scam accounts and verifying people who are who they say they are. Let me know any other ideas you guys have for Twitter down in the comments below. This is Rap Sheep here, and I'll see you guys on Twitter.